Yay, everyone. Welcome back to Symbiosis Weekends. And today we have our Meet the Mentor session. So I'm going to introduce to you in alphabetical order, Andrea, woo, Eleanor, woo, and then, okay, I need to find Julie and Julie. Gabriella will be with us shortly, I believe. So we're just going to start with, I'm going to just, ask some questions. And then, oh, if you have questions, you can either type it in the chat and then put question mark in front of whatever you're typing, so I will know it's a question. And then we can accumulate all the questions and direct them to our mentors at another time. Okay, maybe I should spotlight myself too. At a spotlight.
Gabriella.
Ah, there she is.
Yay!
Hi.
Hello.
Good to see you. Wow, everything okay? Is good? All good?
Hello, sorry, I had problems with my car.
Oh, no.
Sorry.
It's okay. No worries, no worries. So I wanted to ask, the first question is, like, why did you decide to become a mentor? Or why did you decide to become a mentor again, which is to Eleanor and Gabriella? So anyone can, maybe we ask Andrea first because, this is her first year mentoring.
Yeah, I was asked several times, and I always refused to do it. But this time I thought, well, it is the perfect opportunity to give something back to the community. And the mentorship program is something I've been missing badly when I started out with calligraphy. It's exactly that. For that point, we are going from workshop to workshop, and you learn and you learn and you learn, but you never go into doing your own thing. Yeah, and that's what this is about. So yeah, I just took the chance and said yes this time.
And I am the same as Andrea. You asked me, Dorothy, to come on, and I had only seen Symbiosis and didn't quite understand what it was. So it was such a privilege for you to ask me to be on and be a mentor. And I've benefited so greatly from the people in my life. I come from the Chicago Guild, of which there are many wonderful calligraphers there. And so I feel like mentorship has been a huge part of my career and my life as a calligrapher, that it just was a privilege to be able to give back to people. So thank you, Dorothy, for the opportunity.
That's great. Thank you. So not having done this, oh, maybe I go on to Gabriella. Sorry. Again, for the second time, Gabriella was doing back to back. From one symbiosis, she jumped right into another one.
Yes, I heard some noise.
Yeah, I think I need everyone to be muted.
Ah,
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
thank you. As the same as Andrea, I think that I would have liked to have a mentor when I was younger, because it's very difficult to find your way I'm a graphic designer, but it's a different way to understand things, and it was difficult for me. I was traveling a lot, looking for different pieces, and I came again this year because I liked the last year so much. It was wonderful. My group was really very, very nice. We became close and friends, and so many different cultures because we were from different parts of the world. And this year, you, Dorothy, asked me to have my mentees from Latin America, and it was wonderful. Very different from last year, but wonderful. We
Sorry,
talked too much.
I'm laughing because the first group that Gabriella had, she had a German, a Japanese, and then somebody from the States, and all
Portland,
were,
yes.
yeah, the Portland, and they were all very polite, and they were given 15 minutes. Everyone
Yes.
took 15 minutes, and then they waited their turn. But with the ladies in her new group, they were like, everybody wanted to talk over each other. And they, Alicia warned us that, you know, if you want to join their group, you really need to know how to assert yourself. But I think one of the lovely things about the mentorship is the cross-cultural learning.
Mm.
I feel that this is so so enriching, right? To have people of other cultures. And I think Andrea experienced that when Maki shared with them that there are 24 seasons in Japan. I mean, in their culture, they look at the seasons as having 24 parts. So I think those are very wonderful exchange. So anyway, back to Eleanor, coming back for a second
Well,
time.
yeah, well, I'm going to say that I agree with everything that everyone said about all these reasons. But my first response when you said to all of us, why did you decide to be a mentor? My first thought was, how could I not? It's an invitation that I would have been crazy to refuse. It's a way of being with people with an intensity as a teacher that I've never been able to do online before, except the first time around. And normally when I teach online, which has been going on, kind of steadily since COVID, I like it very much, but you have your students for a few hours and then you move on. And this was a development and a process that was unique. I've had this in New York with private students, that have come to me year after year. But to do this online is a challenge, and it's also an opportunity to develop as a teacher and to learn about how other people think and how they work. And so my group was extraordinary. As those of you who were here for the 3 other sessions today probably ascertained that the people in my group took off. I mean, I could have stayed home. I did stay home. I mean, that's actually, but in fact, Dorothy mentioned that there was a time when I couldn't be there, and they just continued. I didn't have internet for a couple of weeks, and I said to them, "Shall we postpone? Shall we postpone?" And they said, "Oh no, we don't need to postpone." So it's been a revelation. I think I used that word to describe you, Dorothy, last week, but also working with this group. And my first mentorship, which was with Dorothy and Nicole, in fact, was fabulous, and it was so different. So I feel that this has been an entirely new experience and a wonderful.
Yeah, so even though you're doing it for the second time, because the nature of your mentees are different, so the whole
Totally.
experience was different. Wow,
Mhm.
that's so cool. Very
Exactly.
interesting. Yeah, so Julie, doing it for the first time, did you have some expectations? Because you were saying you didn't really know what it was about, right? So coming in as a mentor, what was it? Did you have something in mind, and were your expectations met, or were you surprised?
Yeah, expectations, to be able to reach across, like you've both all mentioned, cross cultures was amazing to me, but having been doing classes on Zoom for a while, I've had the opportunity to meet people from all over the world, but never intimately. And I think my expectation was how to really get with people for a long period of time and over time, and to go through their difficulties. I mean, personally, we've all had, things happen this year, and health wise, and all of the things that make us human. It was just a really special experience to be able to experience that with two people from completely different parts of the world for me.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
think that exceeded my expectations. You know, I've not had that experience on Zoom yet to actually reach into someone's life over the course of time. So I think that was precious. That was precious to me.
Amazing. Because Julie
Exactly.
has a mentee from India and one from Argentina. I mean, they could be not, they couldn't be more different. So yeah, quite an adventure, I believe. What about Andrea, your expectations coming into this for the first time?
Well, I agree with Julie more or less. It was that you have people from all over the world is so special. And you said it before. So we decided on that topic, a book of hours, and Maki in Japan had no idea what a book of hours is. She said she would use their 24 seasons, and we like, what do you mean 24 seasons? So all these new things you get to know in a very private or in a safe space.
Yes.
So you are going into a very close relationship, and you have, well, it's so much more intense compared to when you're normally teaching. And I'm teaching a lot. I love it. And my expectations have been, I will learn a lot from being a mentor. It's the same with teaching. You learn so much from your students. Yeah, and I enjoy that. And so it was special. I was just thinking whenever I told friends or people, well, I have to go because I'm meeting with my mentees. Every time I explain what I did, because my mentees are from there, and this makes me meeting them in the afternoon, but it's 9 o'clock in the night in Japan and 7 in the morning in Miami. So that's just has been great. I really enjoyed that.
Amazing. Yeah. So I have some questions. Tatiana wants to know, did any of you have any fears about being a mentor? Any fears? No fear.
Well, I had.
You did? Okay, maybe you want to
Well,
tell.
I was never sure. I mean, the mentees you get, they might not think that of themselves, but they are pretty much advanced. I mean, they are grown-up calligraphers in a way. And I thought, what on earth can I be a help with, you know? Well, we sorted that out. There have been things I could give advice, and all the professional side, or how would you like work with a bigger project and with a bigger view on your work and your thoughts and all of that. But I always had the fear, well, is there anything I could help with? So it,
And was your fear answered? Did you feel in the end that, I mean, you know, that they were helped by you?
well, I hope I was able to help. But then we've been helping each other, and I just try to have open eyes and open ears and ask the right questions. That's what I try to do. It's asking questions. It's not teaching. That's the thing. I mean, I love teaching. The difference with the mentorship is that it's not teaching, it's asking questions. And it's not telling them what to do. It's like pointing out possibilities. Oh, thank you, Annabelle. I just saw your comment.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's like parenting. You know, we have an adult child
Exactly.
now, 22 years old, and you don't tell him what to do, but you help steer, you know, and even prior to being 22, even, you know, from the time he's a teenager, you're not trying to always give him, here's what you have to do today. You know, you're trying to guide him. And I think that that's a fine line. I mean, teaching is completely different, I feel, than mentoring. Yeah, you're just trying to help guide, which was a new experience for me, and it was really wonderful, I thought.
Nice.
Gabrielle, did
Yeah,
you?
Gabriella, go ahead.
Sometimes you need to tell them, you need to do this today.
True. It's
Stop.
getting close to the deadline.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's true. Andrea, I remember that your mentee said that something which they really, really found so helpful was you asking them, questioning all their choices and decisions. Like Annabella said, she started out with, writing, I think, one of the Gothic scripts, and then you asked her, so what does that have anything to do with your story? Right. So I thought that, wow, that is like a truth bomb right there. I mean, you are not saying, no, don't work with Gothic scripts, but you are saying, how does that help you to tell your story? And I think those perspectives are so important. And then just now you mentioned about a safe space. And I feel like, you've created the environment where they are free to explore and free to fail, maybe, to just go all over the place and then come back and know that it's still okay. But what happens if you see them going like really way out, way out there, and then you have to like come back when you disagree with maybe, or you see they're gonna fall into a hole, what do you do then? How do you reel them in? Yes,
I,
please.
I think to some extent, I think that was happening with my group. I don't feel in any way that they were going astray, but in certain cases, they were doing too much at the same time. So I had to say, you have to pick something, right? And I felt that I'm not teaching them, but I'm holding them a little bit back from their desire to, fly in every direction at once. And right. And I also had a very interesting situation, which I know if my group is here now, so they all remember this because it kept coming up, which is that some of them were doing really amazing fine art work. And I felt like they kept forgetting that we're here for calligraphy. So I would say, well, what you're doing thus far you need to bring in the calligraphy because that's our theme here, not the theme of the specific mentoring group, but the theme of the grateful art of letters is about letters. So so I was nudging them a little bit. And again, it wasn't so much teaching, but exactly what you said, Andrea and Julie, it was asking some questions. So how does calligraphy fit into this design? Or what calligraphy is appropriate for this design? How do you coordinate a three-dimensional work with two-dimensional lettering? So that was fascinating, and it was a challenge to them and to me because I wasn't going to tell them what to do, but sometimes I would say what not to do, such as, well, you're working on 5 different ideas, so which one or which two do you need to work on?
Yeah, great. Okay, Talks has a really tough question. Would you do anything differently if you were going to begin another mentoring program tomorrow?
Tomorrow?
Not literally tomorrow, but what would you do? What would you do differently?
I think it so much depends on the people you get, the mentees you get. You
Yes.
just can't say. Because when I listen to Eleanor now, I was remembering we had absolutely wonderful discussions about legibility and traditional calligraphy and abstract calligraphy. That was because in my group, I had Annabelle, who is a whirlwind in expressive calligraphy and in huge sizes of paper. So she would go big, she would go very expressive. And then I had Irene from Switzerland. She comes from traditional calligraphy. She would work with historic alphabets on parchment, gilding and everything. And then I have Marky, who is a professional calligrapher, like doing pointed pen. And so they all had their special knowledge about parts of calligraphy, and we were like discussing things, and for some I had to say, it doesn't have to be legible. If this is your feeling and you want to express it with like a quick gesture, nobody has to read it, and all these things, and going back and forth. So that was very interesting. So I think it depends very, very much on the group you get.
Yeah.
Julie, you want to say something?
Yeah, I'm thinking of doing differently. I think it's of course going to be different. It's going to be a different experience anytime you get with different people. So for us, it was, you know, I had Dashin who was coming from, Dashin has been mentored completely, I think, on Zoom for the last 4 years. He's a young calligrapher from India, and he's had mentors from all over the world helping him in his journey. And trying to funnel his vast amount of experience from all these different disciplines, mostly formal calligraphy. But then he chose to want to go into a more expressive way route, which he had not done before. And so that was interesting to just try to guide him through that journey because it was completely new to him. And then Inez, who's from Argentina, she has a graphic design background like I do, and she just went right into this very, if you'll see her work, expressive. It's all about, we all chose to do something about our journey, our life's journey. And that took various directions. And Inez immediately began with these paths and these wanderings, and it was just like there was no stopping her, you know. So I felt like with Inez, I was just kind of there, like, you know, just helping her make decisions from her vast array of things, you know, that she produced. And so I think, you know, going, if I ever do this again with anyone, it would just be, you have to adjust to whomever and wherever they're at in their journey. So yeah, it was kind of, it was just really a really cool experience.
Would you do it again?
So,
Would I do it again?
Yeah,
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
great. Wonderful. Ellen,
so
you go
I
ahead.
would just, yeah, thank you. I would just like to say that, you know, it's very interesting. You're a great group of mentors because all I have to do is say, I agree. I agree. But one of the very important things is what constitutes the group. And, you know, having been a teacher for a very long time, there are certain similarities. And one of them is sometimes you have people that are quite self-motivating, and sometimes you don't. And there are students on any level that need a lot of direction. And there are some that you just kind of have to sit back and say, you know, take it away, right? And you don't know until you're actually working with them what your role is. And I think being flexible to that, but also being able, when necessary, to be, I don't want to say tough, but just to being a little directive, you know, with the students. And maybe one of the advantages of having only 2 or 3 mentees is you can act one way with one and one way with another. And still, certainly in my group, people were very cohesive. So if somebody needed a little bit more, you know, emotional or artistic support, everybody was there, you know, which was great. And sometimes there would be times where you just had to say, you know, you didn't do anything this week. Oh, we'll look and see what you did next week. And then they would indeed come in with quite a lot of work. So being flexible, being responsive, is, I think it should be a rule for us as mentors. And, you know, when I was with your group, Dorothy, the first time, you know, several years ago, and I don't even remember exactly how I handled that, but I just remember that you and Judith were just producing wonderful work, and I mostly responded to your needs rather than giving you much direction. But that could be different with another group. I mean, that's the thing. It's absolutely what you said, Andrea, that who are these people? What do they need? What do they know? What are they sharing with the other mentees? It's
Yeah.
fabulous. It's a wonderful experience.
Great, great. What about Gabriella? How would you do it differently? I mean, you've done it twice already, so. I feel like for Gabriella, it was a little bit like the first child was a very quiet one, and the second child is a whirlwind. Right? The personality is different, and then your parenting style changes. But then if you had to do it again, what would you your
But
starting point?
in the second time, we had very difficult times, and they were really there to accompany themselves. I think for me, the most difficult thing is trying not to get involved with the works and trying to let them see and think with their own questions.
Mhm.
To guide them, but not try to do like me. No,
Mm.
you don't need to do like me. Your work is for me. It's very thin, separate space, but you need to be very careful with that because sometimes the mentees at first they think, oh, I want to do this like you. No, no, this is not the idea. So yes, but it's okay. I in this group I had really different combinations. No, very different combinations of works. Ines is like a watercolorist. Alicia is a stone carver and graphic designer. And Roxana, she always works with a pointed nib and very thin letters. So it was very different, like an abanico in Spain.
Yeah, it's funny because when you said that I want to do like the mentee says, I want to do like you do, but that is really not the point because your
No,
role is to help them to find their voice, right? To find their own language of calligraphy or expression. So I also wanted to ask, how do you, because in all the groups I see like the relationships are very good. They blended well, they helped each other, they were supportive. So as a mentor, what did you do to cultivate that? Was it something that you did consciously or it just happened?
I think it was very organic the way it happened in our group.
Mm.
Um, we, most of the time met the three of us together. There were very rare times where we met separately. It was just each person needed to solve something, and Dashi needed a little bit of, he needed a little bit more hands-on sometimes. But most of the time we were meeting together. So I think that helps you gel together as a group. So for us, I think it happened very organically. I don't recall ever, having something in my head like, oh, I need to kind of do this. It just happened for me anyway.
Nice. Yeah. Maybe it's because of the intensity that everyone is working on the same goal, working on the
Mm-hmm.
same
But
process.
I think it also depends on the personalities in the group. And um, as it happened, my group was very lively. But I've had students, and I've had, either in a class and private students who don't talk at all. That can happen. Like there are people that are shy. There are people that that's not one of them. Someone is not muted. There are people that are uncomfortable being open, and on Zoom it can be a little harder. I remember when I was first on Zoom, I guess 4 or 5 years ago, I felt as if I was talking to myself because I was in the room by myself. And I think that takes a little time to get used to. But as it happened with my group, they were all talkers, and they expressed their emotions as well as their artistic thought. Right, there's Talks laughing, and I see it over there, and and I understand. You can tell me if I'm right. I understand that they also talk to each other online or in Instagram or whatever quite a bit without me. So I think that was, of course, as Julie said, it was an organic growth, but it just happened that they were all very, comfortable being with the group. And that was luck. I think that was good luck. So, and of course, different people, Tux would show up, in the middle of the night because he happens to be in Australia. So he would say, "Oh, that's okay. I'll just have another 3 cups of coffee. I mean, 3 in the morning or whatever." And, we all had, as Julie mentioned, there were ups and downs in everybody's life, which can also affect how you are with other people. But it can be just a case of good luck when you have a cohesive group. And one thing that I did, which, I don't give myself special credit for, but it just seemed like the right thing to do. Sometimes if something came up where I felt like I should talk to someone privately, I would write an email to one or another of the students and say, well, when you said this, maybe think about that, or whatever. I mean, I don't remember what I said, but sometimes having one-on-one privately can help people get past some insecurity or discomfort or whatever. So I felt like that was something I needed to do, I felt.
Great. Yes, I think there is another question. Wondering if it was challenging to be assigned mentees. Would it have been different if you had picked your own mentees? That's a great question. But you did have a choice, actually. I mean, but would it have been different if you had picked your own mentees?
I don't know. Yeah, that's hard to say.
Right. Yeah.
I really don't know. I don't know how different it would have.
I
But
could,
because how would you decide on whom to pick, how they look, or would you like check their Instagram account, or women, male, female?
With an interview.
So, well, I know that Dorothy did a lot of curating of the mentees,
Yes, I did.
and she found out who they
Oh,
were and what their
Dorothy is very good on that.
Yeah.
Very good.
and I
I
will
love the fact that they were assigned. I think that was wonderful. I like the serendipity of the fact that, Dorothy had an idea of who these people were, but I love the fact that I didn't. And that to me was a fun challenge to take on. So I loved it.
It's like a blind date.
Well,
Yeah.
I had one that I chose and then
Yes.
2 that I didn't, and it didn't make any difference at all.
Hmm.
I will say. And but one thing that Dorothy did this time, and also the first time around when I was a mentor, she talked to me about who they were, so that I also could say, sounds like a good match with me or doesn't. But I pretty much respected her choice. I mean, there was never anybody that I said, not for me. But she did give us all an opportunity to know a little bit about the person, how much experience they had perhaps, and where they came from and whatever. So, but having had one person that I knew for quite a while and 2 people that I didn't know the first thing about, I was amazed at how everything was so seamless.
Sometimes I have names suggested to me, like people like Marina. She has been, going around talking to people. She's a really good promoter of the Symbiosis program. Marina is. So some of you, she has spoken to you before, or as a mentor, as a mentee, and she would recommend people to me. So normally the process of selecting a mentee is that I would do a deep dive into their social media account. And I would look at not just calligraphy, but just in general, what kind of person or what do they aspire to be as an artist, things like that. And then the matching is not just to match them with a mentor, but also with fellow mentees. I think that this is important. One of my criteria is that the group must be cross-cultural. So I wish to have a wide, I mean, the timing, I need to keep in mind the timing that there are possible time slots where they can meet across the world. But I would love to have a cross-cultural enrichment. And then it would be great if they were all they were all involved in different kinds of medium or different kinds of exploration. So it's not like, okay, all the pointed band people into one group. I think that this will limit the interaction and the learning. And it would be wonderful if they were also cross-generational. So I think that that's really, really very helpful, because different generations, they have their own voice, they have their own language and, colors and culture. As much mixing as possible, I feel. And then something which I know that you all may or may not be aware, but generally people who are not contentious, that would be very hard if somebody comes in and they always love to pick a fight. But just by nature, it would be very hard for them to be mentored, and it's very hard for them to blend. So I think that this is one of the things that help us to find people who are able to work together. I mean, they value community. They understand that teaching and learning is a communal activity, right? So I think that those things help me to sieve through. And then, of course, in the end, it's like, are they interested in producing works? Not just to write nicer letters, but they want to go into production mode. So yeah, those are the thinking that I have. And that's why when I recommend them to you, I feel that there is a very high chance, of them succeeding together as a group. Yeah, so that's my perspective. Okay, we have another question. Knowing that teaching online is mostly an opportunity to spread knowledge, which challenges did you have while teaching online that might be easy to solve in face-to-face lessons? Wow. Okay, I think Andrea had something to say about that.
Yeah, that's true. And I thought about that afterwards again. That wasn't meant as a critique for the program, not at all. But especially in the last days before my mentees had to deliver their work, I had a very strong feeling that I would love to be able to sit with them, to have hands-on and to help them. So it was like about Maki was late with finishing her work, and I kept on telling her, you don't have to finish. Please feel relaxed. If you can finish a piece. In the end, she finished all of her projects. But I thought, well, if I could go over and help her with the bookbinding, I would just do it. So things like that. Or if the final thing would be, we could all meet. So I have like a strong feeling I would love that. But that's, I think you can understand that after that weeks and weeks we had together and all the work we went through and all the discussions and talks, I guess it's a good sign when you have that feeling. So yeah. I mean, still it's great because we come from all over the world, and we wouldn't have it if we wouldn't have the possibility, the technology for it. So I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I agree with Andrea. It's the technology of this has been amazing, and we've had these incredible opportunities. But there's this human side that we miss because we can't be there in person to give someone a hug or walk over there and help them tweak that. I always find myself, because I'm a hands person, I talk with my hands a lot, that I'm just like, come here, oh, wait, I'm on Zoom, I can't do this, oh, let me just share my screen, or something. And I feel like those little limitations can be a little frustrating for people. We're people. I love being in a classroom with people. That is where I thrive, And so this technology is a little frustrating for me because when we go through something, or like Gabriella with your group and with Inez and her daughter, it's like, this is the time we need to reach out and hug each other and be there physically together. And that is what breaks my heart sometimes. It's like, I can't reach through this screen and just give you a hug,
Yeah.
or to tweak something like Andrea said, I can help you with that book or whatever. Yeah. So there are frustrations as well as blessings to this technology.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah. Anyway, I'm wondering whether the mentees would like to kind of like step in and say something about the mentors. Are you guys okay? I see Tox is smiling, so let's go with him first.
Yeah, Eleanor was saying she had a chatty group. It's like, oh yeah, we're sitting there, we're biding our time. It's now, all right, mentee time. No, I think one of the things that we really benefited from was knowing that it was going to be a long program. So normally when you have 4 weeks or 4 or 5 weeks, everyone's busy being very polite. You don't know when you're going to see them again. You your interactions may be limited by the time. Not everybody can be there in some classes. So you just have screens, you see the names. You may not see the names. They may be watching the classes at a different point. So this was an opportunity really to bed in and get to know people. You're going to be there for the long haul. So it was really nice again to have that, if not directed, but that same space, like this is us. We are now, this is the group. And you are now going to be rolling across the year with this. So you've got time for your ideas to expand and your comfort levels with your fellow mentees to grow and develop. Because obviously at the beginning, nobody knows anybody, or at least in a group context. So it's very, and that again, that same two-way communication between mentor and mentee, it's not teaching, it's more exploration. And it's something that was quite, that I hadn't experienced. I'd read about, I'd seen in the previous Symbiosis, you hear about it. And also with the development of crafts and art where there used to be apprenticeships, which now is quite different, or at least in this field, it's not something you see as often. So again, it was new ground with time for it to develop. So it's almost like planting seed. Let's see what comes from this, but we're all headed. So we'll put seeds in the ground, we'll water it, we'll give it some sunshine, and we'll give it time. Let's see what comes of it. So I think that was really a unique set of circumstances that allows a deepening over time that you wouldn't otherwise get in shorter set of workshops.
Yeah, Eleanor. Yes.
I would just like to add something to that, to what Tux just said, which I hadn't thought to mention earlier. I hadn't thought of earlier. We all had the advantage of having tiny groups. We had either, I think, Julie, you had 2, and we had 3. Working one mentor with 3 students is a gift. I mean, on both sides, for the students and for the teacher. I'm sure the rest of you who are longtime teachers like me have often had considerably bigger classes, maybe with a few students that stood out and some that you never saw or never heard from. And even if they were there, they would be completely in the background. Here, nobody could or probably wanted to hide out. It was equal time for everybody and lots of time for everybody. So keeping it to a maximum of 3 students, I think I wasn't even thinking about this before, but with maybe 1 or 2 exceptions, nobody ever missed the sessions when in my group, and because we were together. It wasn't that one person would just watch and let other people do the work. So that was also a huge advantage. Okay, sorry, I'm not supposed to be talking now. So back to you,
Okay.
mentees.
Sure. I'd like to hear from Alicia. Is it okay? Yeah. What is your experience being a mentee? Because this is like your first time, and I think you were not familiar with the Symbiosis program before this.
Yeah, I wasn't um sort of familiar. I thought to me it was amazing to discover this place as a mentee, because being a student all the time is so different. Um, but being a mentee puts you in a position of being hard with yourself instead of asking for, to develop your things, to be more objective or more opinionated with yourself. And I think that's the big task for the mentors. And I applaud you guys on that, because we are all so different, and you have to put in the position of each of us to know, how to respond to us, how to guide us, how to, bring it back. Uh, and probably it's not an easy task, because all of us has our own personality, as same as you as the mentor, and this position you have of giving, that I think is the most important thing as mentors you have, that space and that diligence of just giving stuff. It has to be like I imagine it has to be like very hard to not try to teach, to follow more every little things we do, instead of just asking the question and say, go this way or come back, or maybe you can try hard, instead of just going and correct things. And I think that's amazing. As a mentor, I think you guys that have been done an amazing work, and you can see it in the results. All the pieces exhibits are amazing, all so different, that is a pleasure to go and see such a wide, different kind of work. And to me, it was amazing being a mentee. Gabby was exceptional with us, and we laugh a lot, and it was crazy some days. I think it was a good thing that we speak the same language. Um, it has its pros and cons. I guess when I have to speak English, I have to think more and be more cautious of what words I use, because it's not my first language, so it's hard for me. But speaking Spanish was probably too far on the other side too, because you can say absolutely everything you want, and in a group and where everybody can take it also, because it's not the same as with other Spanish speakers. So it was fun. To me, it was especially fun to have a mentor who can speak the language, because all my calligraphic career I did it in English. I learned in English everything I know. Graphic design I learned in Spanish, but calligraphy and letter carving and everything else I've been learning in English. So it was a breeze to me, very nice. So, and thank you, Gabriela, it was amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I saw Roxana nodding her head just now when you said, having people to speak in Spanish. Anyway, yeah.
Yes, it was, for me, everything is new, and it still feels like a dream, because as I mentioned before, it was very intimidating, and that's why I kept telling Dorothy that I didn't want to join, because I felt I was taking a place that didn't belong to me. Because I was telling Dorothy, I don't feel any of the requirements that you're asking, and I've been doing everything by my own, and I don't even know if I'm doing that right. And so the fact that she said, "Oh, come join," and then Gabby, the first thing I remember, she said, "We're all here equal. We're all here sitting at the same table. No one's better than anyone, despite the experience. We're all here. We're all equal. We're all creating. We're all sharing." And that to me was like I could breathe, and I could maybe jump in and say something, and like Alicia said, it was a little bit crazy sometimes. but it was for me incredible to see how, despite that we share a lot of things, we're very different. We come from different backgrounds. We have been all having different learning experiences, and the fact that they were willing to share a lot, they were not holding anything back. And it could be something personal, or it could be something about calligraphy. And then the fact that after so many months of working together, then it felt like we were completely stepping into a new world about curating the pictures, taking pictures, and you have to name the artworks. And it felt like like another program completely. And Gabriela was always there for us and giving us advice, or you should do this, and seeing how she was also advising the other mentees. I was learning a lot from that, because there were things that, oh, I never thought about that, or I that thought never crossed my mind. And the fact that they were sharing so much, and I could see how an artist's mind works, that they were sometimes saying maybe this works, or saying maybe this won't work, and going and keep going. And I'm more like at the stubborn side, that I see something and I'm like, I really want to do that. So it was very interesting to see how we all work different, and Gabby was always there for us. And first she gave us like some months to explore, and she was telling us, okay, now you have this time to explore and try to think what you want to do. And we were all like getting a little bit too crazy with that, because we wanted to do everything, but we were not doing anything at the same time. And then Gabby was like, no, now you have to really start working, and you have to tell me what's your idea and where you want to go. So that was really helpful, because I think that we all shared that we wanted to do so much, and maybe there were a lot of ideas left that maybe will be for the future. But Gabby was really good at bringing us back and keeping us like in the line, but at the same time in our lines, but without at the same time any boundaries. So it was a very, very fulfilling experience. And I'm very thankful with Dorothy and Gabby for all their time, and from the mentees that they shared with me.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I think Gabby has given a lot of time to her group. I hear that their meetings can be 3 hours long. Every meeting. Yeah, that's long. That's really long. I wish we had all the time in the world to hear all the stories, to hear, from everyone about everything, but we actually come to the end of the hour. It's really fast. And I just wanted to say thank you to all the mentors. I honor you. I honor you for the time and the effort that you've given. You've done. I think you may not know how much of a life-changing experience this has been for your mentees. You have set them on a different trajectory as artists, and I think that importantly, you have shown them how to think like an artist, or you've started that process for them and gotten them on the way. So really, thank you so much. Thank you. Yay. I hope that
Thank
you're
you,
very
Dorothy.
proud. Yeah, when you look at the range of art that they produced, it's really stunning. It's amazing. And yeah, this is the thing about the Art of Letters program, is that we're about promoting calligraphic art, and we when you start with a mentee, they always have this, most of them do anyway, have this question about, am I really an artist? Does my work really matter? Should the world care about what I'm trying to say? And I think that having you there to be the encourager, that gives the mentees a lot of confidence to know that it's okay to try, it's okay to speak, it's okay to explore and put it out there in the world. And I'm really very grateful for all of you. So thank you so much. Yes. Annabella says it was a fabulous experience. She thanks all the mentors. Yeah. And well, maybe just a final thing that each one of you can just, say something. What would you say to somebody who wants to be a mentee? What would you say would be a word of advice for potential mentees?
I would say go talk to Dorothy.
Yes.
That's what I actually did with one
Yeah.
of a friend and a student of mine. Say, well, go talk to Dorothy. She's the right person.
Yeah, I think, Dorothy, you have such a gift of gathering and pulling things out of people and nurturing that, yeah, I would definitely steer people in your direction because I think you get it, you understand, and you're a gatherer. You want people to be nurtured and cared for and in this journey. So I'd send them to you, Dorothy.
Let me do the work. What about Gabby? What would you advise?
I would say ask whatever you want because this is not like a topic when you are in a workshop or with a topic. It's very different. So if you need to ask something, ask and take your time and make mistakes and then come back.
That's true. Thank you. Eleanor?
Well, I would actually advise people that it's a lot of work. Potential mentees, it's not a casual commitment. And I don't mean to sound at all negative, but it's a great opportunity. And if you're willing to do the work, the benefits are enormous. So it's not casual. I think it's important to let people know that, it's not like going to school where you could either do the homework or not do the homework. You can skip a few classes, but this is very serious and fun.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, well, I think we've come to the end of the hour and I will close off the sharing session here. So a big round of thank you to the mentors. Woo, thank you. Great. I'm going to stop the recording here.